Welcome to Cross Transformation. It's Mariam here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to stop attracting narcissists, the unconscious mind. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the 3 patterns that are sitting in the unconscious mind. They do have a very strong attraction power, and that's why we keep walking into realities that are toxic and unhealthy. Literally, we keep attracting narcissism into our experience. You see, the patterns that are sitting in the unconscious mind are the result of our observation. What we observed back in that childhood, those traumatic experiences and events. So we need to identify them. We need to heal them instead of falling into those patterns. So let's begin by identifying the first one. Number 1, domestic violence. That was my upbringing. I grew up experiencing domestic violence almost every single night. The unconscious mind interpreted that as chaos. So that domestic violence presented itself as chaotic situations in the unconscious mind, and that's why I would find myself walking into those unhealthy, toxic relationships, into narcissism. I was attracted to it because I was trying to overcome that chaos. You see, back in that childhood, I couldn't stop my parents from those brutal fights. I remember screaming, demanding help, wanting them to stop, but I couldn't. I was feeling helpless, hopeless, frightened, right? Frightened. If you've gone through a similar situation, domestic violence, you know how horrible that is, right? So I had that one sitting in the unconscious mind as chaos. So I did my best to overcome that chaos by walking into those narcissistic relationships. I was trying to find myself. I was trying to overcome that childhood. I was trying to find my power by walking into those unhealthy relationships. So if you've gone through the same experience, domestic violence, just realize that in the unconscious mind, it may present itself as chaos. And that's why you keep walking into chaotic situations. Number 2, abusive caregiver. I thought I had to find abusive people in order to experience love. That was my attachment, and that was my experience, that abuse would result in love. It doesn't, right? So I kept finding partners that were abusive in order to experience love, in order to accomplish love. That abuse was familiar, so I kept attracting realities that somehow would allow me to experience love through abuse. And that's what we need to identify, that abuse doesn't mean love. And by walking into abusive situations, we are not going to feel loved. We are not going to love, and we are not going to experience love. Abusive caregiver presented itself as narcissist in the unconscious mind. Those that are very, very toxic, they literally can play with your mind, and the experience is that yearning for love. There is that desire for love, but somehow we can't find a way to receive that love. You see, when there is abuse, there won't be love. And that's what we need to discern instead of allowing the unconscious to take us to those unhealthy, toxic relationships. Number 3, and the last one, being a victim and at the same time wanting to rescue. Well, that was my childhood experience. Because of that domestic violence, I was trying to rescue my mother. I had this in the unconscious mind that my mom was a victim to my dad and that somehow I had to rescue her. So that observation led to the experience of becoming a rescuer. I was trying to rescue that mother by putting myself in those dangerous, unhealthy, toxic situations. Literally, I was experiencing my mother through myself, being a victim. At the same time, that child in me, that little girl that observed those traumatic events, wanted to rescue her. So at the same time, I was trying to rescue her by walking into those unhealthy, toxic situations with those narcissists. I was trying to defeat my dad through those guys, through those situations. So you see, that domestic violence presented itself as those chaotic relationships. Abusive caregiver was the narcissist, those guys. And being a victim and a rescuer, that was me, right? Trying to handle the chaos, trying to overcome the abusive caregiver, those guys. Meanwhile, I was experiencing abuse, I was experiencing toxicity. So we need to identify the patterns in the unconscious mind in order to come out of those toxic situations and relationships. That's the work that we need to do. Not falling into the patterns, instead coming out of those patterns. So give yourself the gift of healing, coming out of those patterns. Don't play that game, being a victim, being a rescuer. There is no need to be a victim or to rescue somebody else. Bless that childhood for what it was. I know it's very difficult to go back to those images from the experience of domestic violence, but that's the healing work that we need to do, and to come out of those meanings that abuse would mean love. Hopefully you'll find this video helpful. Bless your soul, be at peace, allow yourself to receive realities that are aligned with who you are, your identity in Christ. You're a beautiful, blessed child of God. May you be at peace. Look after your precious soul. You are that love. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.